and gentlemen, it's my absolute pleasure to welcome Mark Crossley to our live shows. Good evening, Mark. Oh, I've lost your sound, buddy. I've lost your sound already. Hang on. Get your headphones in, fella. Get your headphones in. So we've got some questions coming in already. I was just talking to Mark. That sounded promising. I was literally just talking to Mark before we went on air. There, I can hear you now, buddy.
Is that better?
That's perfect, me old mate. That's perfect.
Okay, here we go.
Right. As I was saying, welcome to Superstar Speakers, and thank you for joining us tonight, Mark.
No, it's a pleasure. Getting used to these online calls now. It's good. It's nice. It's nice sat in your chair here and a glass of wine. Yeah,
absolutely right. Saves traveling the country, doesn't it, pal?
It does.
Right, so we have got absolutely loads to get through, Mark. The questions are coming in already, so I'm going to go straight to one of our viewers, and they want to know, how does it feel to be the only keeper to ever save a Matt Le Tissier penalty?
Well, at the time, whilst I was playing, you don't realise it, but since I've finished, I'm actually still living off that moment, to be honest. And it's nice. I have a bit of banter with Tiss through social media and all that. But yeah, I mean, that's a record that's never going to get changed. And the amount of penalties he took, I think 49, and he only missed the one. I got an email not too long ago, actually, that penalty was saved at the Dell, which is now when I was in a state, and I thought it was one of my mates winding me up. I got an email saying, Mark, is it okay if we name that end where you saved the penalty? There's a street there. Do you mind if we call it Crossley Street? So I thought it was just a wind up, but as it happened, somebody's actually sent me the sign. It's actually called Crossley Place. So yeah, I'm very proud that I'm the only one to stop a pen from Matt Le Tissier, because he was probably up there as one of the best, if not the best.
You're a great shot stopper as well, a great penalty take. Obviously, the night Forest against Spurs with that performance, what was it about penalties that just seemed to, you were great at them?
Do you know what? I always had the attitude where you're in a no-lose situation, I think, as a keeper. With a strike, it's all the pressure's on the striker.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't massive on technology, because back then in the early 90s, we didn't have it. So I always got told off a coach that I had a guy called Alan Hill. He said, when you're saving a penalty, facing a penalty, big man, he said, you just go with your instincts. But the one thing I always used to try and do was to try and delay the penalty taker as long as possible, because they just want to put the ball down and take it.
Okay. So it's all mind games.
Yeah, and I used to fake to go one way, and I'd always go the other. Try and, get my arm up in the air so the striker, whoever's taking the penalty, catches you a little bit of a movement. As long as I didn't come off my line, I used to fake to go one way and then go the other. I saved quite a few penalties from Teddy Sheringham, actually. And in that shootout, the final one to take us through in the FA Cup, I just walked up to Teddy and I said, listen, Teddy, do you know I've played with you for a year at Forest? We spent time together. And don't forget, I do actually know where you put the penalties.
Did he do the same thing?
He did, yeah. He put it to the side where I'd always seen him put them, yeah. Yeah. So a little bit of mind games, I suppose, is involved, yeah, definitely.
The thing is, you played under the master of mind games with Brian Clough, didn't you? Surely you must have picked up something from him.
Oh, definitely. He was the master at psychology. We pay fortunes at football clubs now for psychologists and people and things like that. And in Sir Alex Ferguson and Brian Clough, you had the two masters at psychology there, And I was lucky enough to be under both, although it was only for a month at Manchester United.
Yeah, you've done a few Manchester United Legends events and everything, haven't you? How does it feel being associated with that massive club?
Well, I was only there for a month, and it was really weird how it all come about. But because my reputation on the after dinner circuit is growing quite rapidly, actually. I've been asked to do the Manchester United ex-players dinners a couple of times. I'm meant to be doing a golf day that's just actually got cancelled and moved to another date, so I'll be speaking at that one. I think it's just having that affiliation. Sir Alex Ferguson took me there for a month on loan. I'd played at Old Trafford earlier on that season. Manchester United knocked Forest out the FA Cup. They needed a goalkeeper to back up Jim Leighton in 1990 because Mark Bosnich couldn't get a work permit. I was just playing in the reserve game for Forest at Scarborough, and I got the shout off Cloughy. I don't know if I can say it on air. What he used to call me.
Yeah, you can.
I can. Well, he used to call me shithouse. Okay, so I was on the bus coming back from the reserve game. Had finished at Scarborough. I'd played for Forest. I'd played at Manchester United earlier on in the season. Would have beat us 1-0, and I'd done pretty well, but I wasn't a regular in the first team.
Yeah.
So I got the shout off Cloughy of the bus. Shithouse, get your boots and get your gloves. You're going to Manchester United in the morning, son. And again, I thought, this is a wind-up. But apparently, there'd been a conversation with Sir Alex and Brian Clough, and he needed a goalkeeper, as Manchester United obviously had knocked us out the FA Cup, which probably served Sir Alex's job, actually. Mark Robins scored a header against Forest, which I didn't play in the game. And I ended up the next morning at Manchester United as cover for Jim Leighton and a trip down to Hereford in the FA Cup. I was there as cover. So that's how it happened, really.
That's brilliant. Well, I'm sure throughout this whole hour we are going to drop into Brian Clough.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
I love talking about him.
Well, please, do you know what? You've got some fantastic stories about Cloughy, and I can see the comments here. They're already just like, get the Cloughy stories, get the Cloughy stories, get the Cloughy stories. If you want to just, my favourite one is the when you had to go to his house on a Sunday morning. That's my personal favourite one. If you could regale us with that, I'd be a happy man.
Again, it's back to the psychology part of the game, which at the time, as a young 19-year-old, I was just finishing my apprenticeship. I was living in digs with 10 other lads, which was an house where we got looked after, like they used to do at Manchester United. Used to be in digs and close to the ground. And it was a Tuesday night game, and we were playing Liverpool at home. And our first team goalkeeper, Steve Sutton, at the time, had gone down during the day with a virus. It was a night game, obviously, Tuesday night. Hans Seegers was on loan at Wimbledon. We had another lad called Paul Crichton who was injured. Another lad called Darren Hayes who was injured. And I was the only one left. So I've got to play in this game against Liverpool. But I didn't know. So just as normal, we left the digs as apprentices at 5:30 that night to go and do our jobs, our routines. And my job that night was to make sure that the central heating in the away team dressing room was turned up full blast. Because apparently it dehydrates the opposition and you've got a better chance of winning. So that what Cloughy had given me that job to do. So I'd done it. There was a pipe, with a red thing that you used to turn on and make the heating full blast. And at 7:00, I was in what you call the boot room. We got 45 minutes to kick off. And I didn't know, but my old man had a phone call from Cloughy saying, get yourself to the game tonight. Mark's going to play. But whatever you do, don't tell him, because he'll shit himself. All right? So he didn't tell me. He came down to the game. Cloughy wined and dined him and looked after him. Anyway, at 7:00, I get the shout. And I've told you what he used to call me. So I get the shout, shithouse. So I thought, well, he calls me that, so I better see what he wants. So I put my head out the boot room door and I looked down the corridor there. And he stood there, and we know his attire, rugby shirt, green sweater, blue tracky bottoms. He had a tennis racket in his hand. And he said, get your boots on, son, and it would help if you put your gloves on as well. You're playing. So I thought, hang on a minute, is this guy winding me up here? So Liverpool had Barnes, Beardsley and Rush playing that night up front. So I probably would have shit myself if my dad would have told me, to be honest. But they get, the brilliance behind the man management skill, where I always compare him to Sir Alex. Mind games, man manager. He's the man at the club. No one else. I had 45 minutes to get ready for that game. Stuart Pearce, our captain, said, big man, whatever you do, just think that you're playing with your mates in the park. And me and Des Walker and the other experienced lads, we'll look after you. So anyway, we won the game 2-1. I can't remember a lot that happened, but I remembered after the game, Cloughy came in and he asked me to follow him to the referee's room, which I did. he knocks on the referee's door. The ref invites us in, and Cloughie said to the referee, "I'd like the match ball for the shithouse from Barnsley," he said. And the referee said, "I can't give you the ball, Mr. Clough." He says, "Mark's not scored a trick." It's, At which point, Cloughie nicked the ball out of his hand, gave it to me, and told me to piss off with the ball as quick as possible, which I did. I ran off with the ball, gets it signed by all my teammates on the night. And then he comes back in the dressing room and he said, "Young man." I said, "Yes, boss." He said, "Now go and knock on their dressing room door and ask if they'll sign it as well." So I'm thinking, are you winding me up? He wants me to. We've just beat Liverpool 2-1, and he wants me to go and knock on Kenny Dalglish's door and ask him to sign this ball.
How old were you then?
I was 19.
Bloody hell.
So I thought, well, whatever Cloughie tells you to do, you do. So I walked down the corridor and I thought, what I'll do is when I get halfway down, I'll just turn back and just say that they refused to do it. But as I turned back halfway around, he was stood there and he played, "Knock on the door, shithouse, knock on the door." So I had to go with the ball and knock on the door. And to be fair to Kenny Dalglish, he was we all know he's a gentleman, and he actually, he invited me and got the ball signed. Now, following on from that, Saturday we're playing Newcastle away the following Saturday, and he's kept me in the team.
Cool.
The following Saturday after that, but by this time, Steve Sutton, our first team goalkeeper, is now fit. So I'm just thinking, you're going to get taken out of the team. But he kept me in. Following Saturday, Coventry FA Cup, I made my first mistake, but we win the game 3-2. Now, after the game, I'm thinking, gullible me, Big Norm, I'm thinking, do you know what? This is a piece of piss, this. I've got all these great players in front of me. I've got nothing to do. Oh, what a start! What a start to my career. But as we all know, it's not that easy. And he's seen me. I was getting a little bit too big for my boots. So after the game against Coventry on the Saturday, I said to the lads, "See you on Monday, lads. We've played 3 games, we've won 3. I'm absolutely buzzing." And he sees me and he goes, "Where do you think you're going, son?" And I said, "I'm going home." "Where's home?" I said, "I live in Barnsley." He said, "My house tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Bring your boots, and it would help if you bring your gloves as well." So I thought, Jesus Christ, I don't even know where the fella lives. How am I going to get to his house tomorrow morning? And why am I going? So I get hold of the groundsman, who I know does a little bit of driving for Cloughie, and I said, Chaz, his name's Chaz. I said, "I need to get to the manager's house tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Can you take me?" He said, "Yeah, I'll see you here at 8. I'll take you through, big fella. No problem." So off we go. We'll go through to Cloughie's. I get there about 8:30, but he said 9 o'clock. So I thought, I'll wait at the bottom of the drive till 5 to 9. I walk up the drive, and Barbara, his wife, answers the door. She said, "Hello, Mark, how you doing? I'm Barbara, Brian's wife. Come in. He's upstairs. He'll be down in 5 minutes." She said, "I'll make you a cup of tea and a slice of toast if you like." I said, Yeah, I love." So I walk in, and me and Barbara are chatting away. Anyway, the gaffer comes in. And again, I don't have to tell you what he's got on. His rugby shirt, green sweater, blue tracky bombs. He did have a squash racket in his hand this time, so I don't know whether he was off to play squash or what. And he said, "I won't call you shithouse, 'cause Barbara's here," he said. And I said, "Okay, boss." He said, "But I'd like to say thank you." So I goes, "What for?" Now, he's got 2 sons, Nigel Clough and Simon Clough, who's now working with now, he's chief scout now for Nigel. Well, Simon Clough was the manager of a team that play in the Derbyshire Sunday League, in Division 5 of the Derbyshire Sunday League, and they haven't got a goalie. So Cloughie goes, "Thank you for agreeing to play for Simon's team this morning, son. They haven't got a goalkeeper, and I thought you'd do." So I had to play in the game for Simon's team on Sunday morning, Division 5 Sunday League, and they got fined 50 quid for playing a ringer. And Cloughie took the 50 quid out of my wages at Forest to pay the fine. So,
love that story.
and though people say to me, "That's not true." Yeah, it is, because that's how we were. That it was old school, and that's how we were treated. And when I look back, it's all it was to make sure you're not getting above your station. If you get above your station, I'm going to knock you back down to earth, young man. So simple as that.
I love that
So,
story. Thank you so much, Mark. I adore
no, that's fine.
that
It's
story.
fine.
Right. At Superstar Speakers, we've got a few of your ex-teammates coming up for events, and I'm going to throw the names out at you. And if you've got any stories you can tell us about any of these people, appreciate it. If not, just say pass. So,
Okay.
look, we have got on October the 30th, Jimmy Bullard. Now, I know you spent some time with Bullard.
Oh, God. Where do you want me to
Anything you
start?
can tell us about him before we welcome him? Because we're going to give him a live microphone and no script and just see what happens.
I will tell you what he did to me once. We went to Austria pre-season, and we were in the same training camp as Real Madrid.
Okay.
Yeah, so David Beckham was there, Jonathan Woodgate, Capello was manager. I was at Fulham with Jimmy, Chris Coleman manager. So we used to meet for breakfast before we went training. We'd get up, have breakfast. And it used to be a buffet breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And the yogurts were in a big bowl. And you used to help yourself to how much yogurt you wanted on your cereal and all that. Now, Real Madrid used to sit over one end of the room, and we used to sit over the other end of the room. I think we were a bit starstruck more than anything, to be honest. Now, my bedroom, I'm sharing with Mark Pembridge, and my bedroom is above the kitchens, and it's red hot in there.
Uh-huh.
So I can't keep my mouth shut. So I come down the next morning in front of everybody, and I go, "Gaffer," to Chris Coleman. "What's up, mate?" I said, "You got to change me. You got to get me out of that room." I said, "I can't sleep. There's no way I can go out training today when I can't sleep. I find training hard as it is. And with that temperature in there, I'm sweating my nuts off all night. I can't. You got to change my rooms." Jimmy Bullard comes up behind me, and he's picked up the yogurt bowl, and he pours it over my head. And he goes, "That'll cool you down, big fella." And all I can see at the other end of the room there is Capello like that, looking over his glasses as if to think, what the hell is going on here? And I'm stood there and I've got a full bowl of yogurt dripping down off me. But hey, Jimmy, mate, he's just one of them people that he does something. He'll let fire extinguishers off in the training. He'll do anything stupid. The first day he signed for us at Fulham, we used to meet on these steps, and Chris Coleman would go, "Right, this is what we're doing this morning. You're going off for a warm-up with so-and-so, da-da-da. Then you're going to come over to me. We're going to go through some team shape and all that." And then he'd go, "Right, off you go. Do your warm-up with Chris, the fitness coach." So we'd all jog off. And "Where's Jimmy? He was here a minute ago. Where is he?" Well, he'd disappeared back into the dressing room, and he'd put the green Borat outfit on. You know, the
the mankini.
The mankini. So we all run off training. The next minute, Jimmy comes running around the back of the training ground and joins in, and he's got the mankini on. And that was his first day training. And the next day, we meet on the steps. He's gone upstairs in the gaffer's office and put the gaffer's gear on and come back down in the gaffer's gear. There's only him. He's one of them people where there's only him that could get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But great lad, good mate of Jimmy's. Great lad. You're gonna love him.
Well, we're probably going to take him out for a pint afterwards as well.
Oh dear, that's dangerous.
This might be the last time you ever see me looking like this, Mark.
I think so.
Another name we've got coming up on the tour is Mr. Stuart Pearce. Now, you mentioned him earlier on. Is there anything you can tell us about Stuart?
Pearcey, great captain, great leader. Don't tell him I said this, but he can be a little bit miserable at times. Now, Pearcey. I once bought a racehorse with Pearcey, actually. It weren't very good. It used to finish third a lot. We used to pay a lot of money for it. It was, if there's ever any captain and this is on a serious note, if there's any captain you could dream of being in a dressing room with, to run that dressing room, because every manager needs a captain who can run a dressing room because it takes the pressure off a little bit. Now he was that man, and then obviously he was wanting to. I think he was actually going to come to Man United. Were trying to sign him. The last dinner I did, I was sat next to Sir Alex, and he was telling me that he found Clough hard to deal with, and he wanted to sign Stuart Pearce, and he wanted to extend my loan, but the guy was just impossible to deal with. But Manchester United would have had another hell of a player from Nottingham Forest if they'd have signed him.
I think he'd have been
it was just, technically, probably, he'll admit, if you ask him to do 5 kick-ups with a ball, he can't do it, But great determination, heart and soul, wears his heart on his sleeve. I think you won't get anybody better.
No. How does he compare to, say, like Roy Keane? Because you spent a little bit of time with Keane. Did you see, same kind of personality coming through from Roy as well?
No, Keane was a winner. He was a born winner. He was loud on the pitch, but off the pitch, he was only young. He was 18. He was quiet. He hadn't really come out of his shell, to be honest. And I think until he actually established himself at Manchester United, but you could see what a quality player he had. But he used to be like kind of a box-to-box player for us, Keane. Whereas I think when he went to Manchester United, he was more of a dictator, like holding in that middle of the 4. But it weren't bad to have them both on the same team. Two born winners. But no, I'll tell you one thing about Piercy: his music is horrendous, and his dress sense and his music is horrendous.
Oh, really?
Horrendous.
We don't ever see him in suits.
But even suits don't suit him, do they? No, you can say that to me now. We used to have a bit of banter about his gear, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I might be a little bit too frightened to be honest with you, because you could probably knock me out quite easily. Just
tell him I said it.
I will. I'll have this clip on my phone ready.
Yeah. Two great players.
He says Stuart Pearce was an electrician too. Now I know what he's hinting at here.
Yeah. He's on about the iron, isn't he? He was an electrician by trade, and again another Cloughy story where Piercy was. I'll probably tell you a little bit different to me, but the basics of it was like, I think he'd gone away to play for England, and the manager said, "When can you be back?" And again, it's that psychology of management.
Yeah,
you're the captain. You've got every team in the country wants to sign you. You're captain of England. I'm the manager of this football club, and I think he kind of wanted to just let him know. So Cloughy turned up in the dressing room with an iron, and we used to have a towel in the dressing room with a ball on it, and the manager's team talk used to be, "That's what we're playing with. Keep it on the floor." And that was his team talk. And one day he came in after Pierce had been away with England, and he put the iron on the floor in a bag, which we didn't know was in the bag. We didn't know an iron was in the bag. And he said to Piercy, "How did you think you played for England on Tuesday night, son?" And he said, "Yeah, I thought I'd done all right. Yeah. Yeah." And Cloughy said, "Well, I thought you were shit, son. And I've seen the programme with the advertisement in, Stuart Pearce, electrician. Can you explain?" So basically, got an advert. Because he was an electrician by trade, he got an advert in the programme. Cloughy had spotted it, weren't too happy about it. And basically he said, "I've seen the programme. I don't like what I've seen. Page 9, can you explain?" He goes, "Yeah, well, I was an electrician by trade, and we've still got the family business running." And he goes, "Well, if Barbara, my wife, is at home now, and she calls that number because the light bulb's gone out, you're not coming, are you?" And he said, "No, my brother is." He said, "Lads, our captain's a fraud. He's not coming." And then he walks over to the bag with the iron in it, and he bends down and he picks it up, and he goes, "Can I swear?"
Yeah. Go for it.
He goes, Cloughy goes, "And as a matter of fact, son, Barbara's iron's fucked." He said, "If you don't mend it, you ain't in the team Saturday, son." Anyway, Piercy went away, took the iron, mended it, and it was on the gaffer's desk Saturday morning.
Good lad.
Mended. So again, you can see where I'm coming from, where the psychology part. I mean, we've got the England captain there, the England captain, and he's saying, "You ain't playing in my team unless you mend that iron. If you think you can advertise in my programme," because everything was his,
Yeah.
My car park, my program, my training ground, everything was his. He said, if you know, it's like telling him, innit? I'm the man, not you. I'm the man.
Yeah,
So
knock him right back down.
do you know what? All these stories, and the good thing I look back is I don't know one ex-player. I know loads that have had fallouts with him, and I know Piercy had his little bit of differences with him over signing a new contract and things. But I don't hear anybody say a bad word of him because he just taught them so much. And that's what I say. Good managers are teachers. They're teachers of life skills. They're not just teachers of football.
Absolutely. It's like an army general type stroke father figure, isn't it? Just leads by example. And he won like 2 Champions Leagues with Forest is incredible.
Yeah, I think he took Forest from the 2nd division to the 1st division of what it was then. Which obviously would have been. I think then he had a good season the next season, got into Europe, and then went and won it twice.
Yeah, back to back as well.
With what you would probably call back then an average team.
Yeah.
4-4-2 never changed. You never heard of a number 10 or 4-4-2. You had rules. Goalkeeper, what's your job? Keep the ball out the goal. Fullbacks, what's your job? Play forward when you can. Stop crosses. Centre halves, what's your job? Edit and kick it as far away from my goal as possible. Centre midfield players, take less than 3 touches. Play forward if you can. Get in the box and score me a goal when you can. Wingers, get your heels on the line. Beat your fullbacks, cross it. Centre forward, get hold of the ball. Keep it because it's yours. And then pass it to someone that can play. Then get in the box, score me a diving header. Preferably get cut while you're doing it because it looks better.
Really?
So they were the rules.
Wow.
They were the rules. If you break them, you go. You leave the club.
It sounds so simple.
But what he was good at is signing people to fit into them positions and not necessarily. I think, at Forest, we weren't massive spenders, but what we were 4-4-2 with them rules in place, and he signed players to fit in those rules as them formations, and the formation never changed, never. And he used to say football's a simple game played by idiots, and he's probably got a point because I'm an idiot.
Some people in my time that might prove him right.
Yeah, so we can talk forever and ever and ever, and there's all. Today, they've got all the technology. And I'm not saying the game's moved on. Players are much faster. They're much quicker. Are they better technically? I doubt it. I wouldn't say so. But they're quicker, they're faster, they're more like athletes. And that's all down to sports science. But we didn't have all that then. We didn't have it.
I still think a player like John Robertson, like with all the sports science in the world, would still be class right now. Like an informed John Robertson would be amazing right now. And you get great players, don't you?
Just world beater. Just top class. Couldn't run. Carried too much weight. Smoked 20 a day.
Yeah.
But knew how to beat a fullback and cross a ball. That was his job.
We had him recently. He still puts it away now as well. He still likes to drink.
I know, yeah. Oh, he's top man. What a guy.
Yeah.
I know he's not been very well, Robbo, has he? But he's top man.
It does bring me to a question I was going to ask you if it came up. How do you think Brian Clough would handle the world of social media?
Well, he'd probably struggle, if I'm honest, but he would find a way, is what I would say. He would find a way, because to me, he was always one step ahead. So it's like he went into an interview with, say, Brian Moore, an old commentator, and it's like he knew what he was going to say because he had the answers ready. So I always say he was always one step ahead, and he would have probably adapted to how it is now to be one step ahead, is my opinion.
Oh, yeah, it's a good answer. It's just something that's came up to me that I wondered how he would cope with that.
Yeah, well, for the start off, he wouldn't speak to agents. He wouldn't speak to them, so that's going to be struggle number one, isn't it? His attitude was, if you don't want to play for me, go and play for someone else if you want to bring an agent. And it happened with Franz Carr. I think his dad was acting as one of the first agents to to support Franz, and he wouldn't speak to him because his attitude was, why would you have someone representing you who knows nothing about football? That's what he'd say.
We had Dean Saunders on the other week, and he said very similar stories. Actually, like he just wouldn't speak to Saunders' agent.
No, he wouldn't do it. He just would not entertain an agent. So if you had one, and you was wasting your time, but I think agents were only just coming into it as he was finishing anyway. So it never became a problem. It would have been interesting to see.
I would love Brian Clough's Twitter account. I think it'd be incredible.
Oh God, I think he'd be president now.
Oh God, yeah.
Or he'd definitely be trying to be anyway. Put it that way.
Yeah, I think he'd do a good job.
Yeah, yeah.
Brian Jackson's got a question. I don't know what's coming, like what the story behind this is, but it said ask him about David Curry.
Again, it's another story that I tell on the circuit where David. Do you want to hear it? The story, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
David Curry was signed from my local club, Barnsley, for a lot of money. He'd scored a load of goals in the league below, and Forest signed him, but he didn't abide by the rules. David Curry was a centre forward who occasionally liked to flick the ball around the corner. And I remember one game we playing, the ball got played into him on the halfway line, and he didn't get hold of the ball, which was one of the rules. He tried to flick it. It got intercepted. Queen's Park Rangers went down the other end of the field and scored. There was 35 minutes gone roughly in the game, 10 minutes to half time. And back then, it wasn't the electronic scoreboards where you make substitutions and things. It was a box at the side of the dugout with numbers 1 to 11 in.
Okay.
So as I've thrown the ball back to the halfway line to get the game restarted, I look over and Brian Clough stood on the halfway line with the number 10 aloft, which David Curry was wearing. And he's shouting, off, we don't flick the ball at this club, son, off you come. So David Curry goes running up the tunnel. Now, because he's not abiding by the rules, he's gone to flick the ball. Luckily, we won the game anyway.
Yeah.
But when he took David Curry off, he forgot to put a substitute on. Well, that's what we thought. He forgot to put a sub on. And Archie Gemmell is shouting to him, Gaffy, you need to put a sub on. And Clough is going, let him cope. Now we're 1-0 down at home, 10 minutes to go to half time, and he doesn't put a sub on. Jeez. And he puts a sub on at half time. We'll go and win the game, I think, at 2-1. So he's got to get rid of David Curry. So he's got a plan.
Yeah.
So David Curry parks. He told everybody he was a collector of classic cars. And one day he drives in a purple Ford Capri, which classic car probably is now. It wasn't then. It was just a normal run of the mill car. But he parks it in the manager's spot. So Piercy goes, "Hey lads, you got to come and have a look at this." Now the gaffer's left his office. He's spotted this car, and the gaffer's secretary Carol has said it's David Curry's car. So now's the chance to strike and get rid. So he walks up to the car and he's got his tennis racket and he hits the car with the tennis racket, and we're all laughing and joking, and David Curry wasn't very happy. But then we went training, and about 15 minutes into training, the manager appears, and we're doing our warm up at the far end of the pitch there, and Archie Gemmell is the coach then, and the gaffer appears with his dog and his tennis racket, and we're all looking over, and he shouts over to Archie Gemmell, Arch, bring him in. So we all go jogging over to where Archie Gemmell stood, where the manager stood, and he goes, whose is that car in my car park? So David Curry puts his hand up. Now, David Curry's already played 4 games in the first team, scored 1 goal. He puts his hand up, and the manager said to him, what's your name, son? He said, David Curry. He said, where's David Curry from? He said, you've just signed me from Barnsley. He said, Barnsley? So then Cloughie points at me, and Cloughie also used to call me the imbecile, right? So he points at me, he goes, Barnsley, that's where the imbecile's from. Points at me, right? So I'm like, what's it got to do with me? So he goes, David Curry, can I ask you a question, son? He said, yeah, fire away. He said, have you bought an house in the Nottingham area yet? And he says, no, boss. He says, I haven't. He says, but I'm looking. He went, let me stop you there, son. Don't fucking bother. So that was the end of David Curry. He got rid of David Curry the week after for flicking the ball on the halfway line, not getting hold of it.
That's amazing.
Imagine it. You think you're making it up, don't you? It's like, it's unbelievable.
Oh, that is fantastic. That is...
So,
oh, what a story. What a legend. Jace Harper has a question. Said, who is the craziest player you have come across in the game?
Craziest player. You know, you've got your usual run of the mills, haven't you? Like, I'm glad I went in the same dressing room as Keeney as he actually matured as a player. Probably, I played with Vinny at Wales. I played for Wales. Coming from Barnsley, don't even ask me how I played for Wales as well, because I don't know. I had Welsh grandparents, so I never got in the England squad. So I got a call to go and play for Wales. I didn't play too many times, but I was in a few squads with Vinny, and great fella. But
yeah,
you know, just probably something missing in there somewhere. You know what I mean? But great lad, great guy, and a lot of time for him. So I'll probably go with Vinny.
We've had Vinny a few times, and he is he's a different breed, bless him, and he's a good lad though.
Great
fella.
He
played for England in Harry's Heroes.
I know, yeah, I was watching that. Yeah, I know, yeah. I don't know how that happened. I don't know, but I think it was just Pardon?
Would you do it?
Well, I played for England under 21s.
True.
As a youth, but back then, if you'd done that, you could still go on and represent another country if you hadn't played for the full squad. So, probably if I was getting paid a load of dough for it, yeah.
Yeah, Vinny Jones wages, you'd do it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. No, I think it was just a publicity thing on telly, and Vinny got dragged in just simply because of his character.
On the subject of Vinnie Jones, the Tattershall Holiday Lakes home have been on. They said, Crossley, you are a legend. There is a free caravan holiday for you and the family if you want it at Tattershall Lakes in Lincoln. Their question, though, is can you tell us about the Ghetto Blaster and Vinnie Jones?
Yeah, I'll definitely take that because I love caravanning. Kids do.
Message Tattershall, they'll sort you out.
Brilliant. Vinnie Jones, right. So, Wimbledon at home. And Wimbledon were the first group of players with the Ghetto Blaster. Now every dressing room has one. Music in the dressing room. Back then, they were one of the first to have it. So he comes in, Vinny, with it on his shoulder, and they're in the dressing room. And in our dressing room, we used to sit quietly with the towel over our knees, the balls on the towel. That's what we'd play with, keep it on the floor. No one was allowed to jump around. Anyway, all of a sudden, this noise, boom, 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 boom. So Cloughie goes, what's that? So our assistant manager, Alan Hill, was called Alan Hill. And Cloughie goes, Illy, go and knock on their dressing room door and ask them to turn the music down. So Alan Hill goes down the corridor, knocks on the door, and opens the door, Vinny, and he's stood there in a pair of slips. And he's an intimidating guy, isn't he? So yeah, Alan Hill says to him, our manager says, would you mind turning the music down? So Vinny says, yeah, no problem. So turn the music down. Alan Hill comes back in our dressing room, and of course, you know what's going to happen. They turn the music up louder. So Cloughie goes, Illy, go and ask him to turn the music down, but this time, say please. So off he goes, assistant manager Alan Hill, and he says, and Vinny opens the door in his briefs. And Alan Hill said, our manager says, would you mind turning the music down? But this time he said, please. So turn the music down. Comes back up. So they turn it even louder. So Cloughie gets up, marches down, knocks on the door, barges straight in, picks the ghetto blaster up, smashes it on the floor and says, "Now play your fucking music, Wimbledon." And we actually went on to batter them 4-1 that day as well.
Oh my God.
So
That's like the full-on crazy gang, like Dennis Wise, John Fashanu, all that lot.
I think because it was actually Brian Clough walking in there, though, even the crazy gang used to look at him and be in awe of him. Everybody was in awe of him. They weren't scared of him. They were in awe of him. It's exactly the same with Sir Alex. You know, you walk into a room, and it's weird how to describe it. When someone like that walks into a room and that presence hits you, then silence because you're in awe. Because you're in awe of them. Yeah.
Did he have that it factor then? Just like that person that I always say, it's like when they walk in a room, all the light hits them. Like, is that kind of, was he one of them?
Absolutely. You know, he'd sit there and he'd get the physio to come and rub his knees with Vaseline, and he'd have a cricket ball and he'd throw it around the dressing room to each player, and you had to throw it back to him, and you weren't allowed to leave the dressing room till everyone had caught it and thrown it back to him. And it was just his way of like relaxing you before a game to go out there and express yourself, you know.
What a legend.
Yeah.
Benji Smith has a question for you. It's a serious one. It says, after being such a Forest legend, how did it feel being a Notts County coach on the other side of the city?
Well, yeah, I was in two minds whether to go, because obviously I didn't want to use my. I'm well liked by the Forest fans, always have been. I like them. I've got a great repertoire with them, and you know, so I've always worked in the lower leagues with John Sheridan. Wherever he's been manager, I've always gone with him. Anyway, he became the manager of Notts County, and he asked me to go as his assistant. So, you know, it was an opportunity I wanted to do. I wanted to step up to the assistant manager from goalkeeping coach. So, and Notts County is still a great football club. It's the oldest football club, and I loved my time there. But John didn't last too long, and I got a bit of abuse when results weren't too good. You know, people like saying, "Get back over the river, over the road," and all. But hey,
that's football.
You know, part and parcel of it. But when things were going well, when Kevin Nolan come in and he took over, Kev kept me as part of his backroom staff. We got in the playoffs, and I would say, if you probably speak to a lot of Notts County fans now, that they probably do respect me for the way I handled myself there, having been over the river. And I think vice versa with Forest. Like, you know, it's turned out not a problem.
I think, to be honest with you, the game's a little bit wider spread than that now, isn't it? Like, rivalries aren't as, I don't want to say aren't as intense, but they are. But I think fans...
I mean, one club that I could never have gone to was Derby County. I mean, it was the rivalry between Forest and Derby was. I mean, Forest don't really look at Notts County as a threat to them. To be, I mean, don't mean that awfully, but they've only once been in the top league together. So the rivalry between Forest and Derby, that's the hatred. I mean, Forest actually want Notts County to do well. You know, I'm not so sure the other way around.
I went to an evening with Teddy Sheringham once at Derby County, and he made sure he had a red hat on all the way through. And I asked him, "What's that for?" He's like, "Just a little Forest reference." I was like, "Good
Teddy.
old."
Yeah. I can imagine him doing that. It's a cheeky little thing, Teddy, isn't he? Like, you know, that cheeky little smile.
Yeah, he loved it.
Yeah, great fella. Another one.
He's a good lad. What do you think Forest are going to do this season, by the way, when we will start back up? Because are they 5th in the league now?
Well, I'm still the club I spent 12 years at, so I'm still a massive fan. I always will be, and I go and watch whenever I can. And now I'm at the game, I intend to go a lot more. The time I went to see him about five times or so this season.
Okay.
And speaking honestly, I think they're a little bit short, but you never know. They're in a position where they can, you know, what can happen in the playoffs, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's the aim, is playoffs and see what happens. But what worries me about that, if they do get promoted without a massive investment, that it could be like we was in a time in the 90s when we were up, sell our best players, down, up, sell our best players, down. And that's what worries me, that type of thing. I hope not, obviously, but...
No, I always want to see Forest in the Premier League, because they are one of the country's biggest clubs, and it's always nice to see the big clubs at the top, regardless of where they are. in the league, just the support and the noise and the legacy of Forest would be great, and especially if Leeds go up as well, it would be fantastic.
It would. I mean, in the 90s, in the Premier League, we were always a threat. Not many teams used to like to come to Forest and think that they were going to go away with easy points, because we're a good team and we're a good manager. So not only with Clough, but Frank Clark as well. So I just wish it could get back to just something like that. And, maybe a bit of luck in the playoffs and a kickstart that might do it. I don't know.
You never know, mate. You never. Stranger things have happened in football, haven't they?
They have, yeah, they have. I mean, you only have to look at Bournemouth's story, don't you? I think a minute from going out of the league, and then so many years later, established in the Premier League. It can happen.
Brom did it once, didn't they? As well, West Brom escaped relegation on the last day. Yeah,
it can happen.
Hopefully, it does. Obviously, because we've got a lot of Forest fans watching as well.
Yeah.
So when
brilliant fans, honestly, I'm not just saying that but the way that I'm welcomed when I go back there that's what makes me love. I want to go back there. I'll just love spending time with the fans. I love going out in the town and mixing and talking football, and I think that's how footballers should be. Really, I'm a massive believer that you have to be involved in a community when you're at a football club, which for the superstars now it's kind of impossible.
Yeah, because it does mean a lot to the community, doesn't it? Like I've been saying this to a lot of our guests. When a football team's doing well, the city has an uplift, doesn't it? Like whatever city it is, whether it's Liverpool or Newcastle or Manchester or Sheffield, when the team's doing well, the city has a positive energy about it, doesn't it? And Nottingham's the same.
It is. What I found when I was in the game, I was 32 years in the game without a break, lucky enough to go from playing straight into coaching. And only on the 2nd of January this year I've come out of the game, which I've actually struggled with, to be fair. But I was ready for the break. Doesn't make sense, but yeah, just mentally I've struggled with the route, not being in the routine, and a few personal things that happened in life. I struggle mentally, so I'm doing a lot of stuff for mental health at the moment. And we're going to be doing Kilimanjaro next year. We've got a group of ex-footballers that have been quite open speaking about mental health. So that's ongoing, which I'm really, really.
When you do anything, tag us in it on social media, and I'm sure our followers will support you with that.
Brilliant, yeah.
Of course, man. So make sure you tag Superstar Speakers in that. We'll support you with that, mate.
I will do. Definitely. So where was we before
that? Leaving the game, retiring from the game.
Yeah.
It is, and how good football and good footballers are part of the community. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think. Do you know what? Like, speak about Manchester United and Nottingham Forest here, and to a certain extent, the other clubs I've been at, Fulham and Middlesbrough, and then a few loans in between, Stoke City. What I noticed about those 4 Premier League clubs that I was at is that, and I'm not so sure it happens so much now, is that it certainly happened when I walked through the door at Manchester United the first day when Mike Duxbury met. I didn't know the way to the cliff. And Mike Duxbury met me. I followed him in the car, made me feel welcome. And from walking through the door and being met by the manager instantly and shown around, and the cleaning ladies, the cooks, the kit man, that were the most important people at the football club.
Brilliant.
So that's what I mean about a community, and it was the same at Forest. There was a connection, not with just the team and the management, but all the way through the club. And I think that's why that is a big thing, why you do get a lot of success. Do you know what? There's no better feeling than me walking in on a Monday morning, having won a game on a Saturday, and you've performed well, and the kit man comes up to you and he goes, "Well played Saturday, big fella." It's a great feeling. Do you know what I mean? And then I go, "Well, I wouldn't have played so well if you wouldn't have had my kit all laid out nice." And that's what I'm talking about. That they're the important things for me. And I always try to install it when I've been at a football club as a coach. I try and install them type of things.
You're absolutely right, because that way, from your manager to chairman, all the way down to the young lads that are cleaning the boots, everyone has that little bit more pride in their work, and it becomes the sum of all parts where everything gets bigger and better. that's good advice, not just for football, but for any business.
Any business. Everybody likes to be told that, well done. Everybody. I don't know anybody that doesn't like to be told well done.
I'm still waiting for my boss to tell me well done. Do you know what I mean? No.
I'll be your boss. Well done. Great interview.
Cheers, Mark. Thank you very much.
But yeah, you can see where I'm coming from. Where and it's the basis of success. It really is.
Yeah, there's no secret, is there? There's just a lot of little things. There's no one big thing. It's a lot of getting a lot of little things right.
Good players that can handle a football, that helps as well.
Oh yeah. That's not a bad move, I suppose.
Yeah. So
when you were going to change tact a little bit, when you were playing, was there any striker going up that you thought, oh, I really don't want to be facing this guy? Was there any I'm against, say Blackburn and Shearer was playing, for example. So, I don't want that. Was there anyone that was like a bogey striker?
Shearer scored loads and loads of goals past me. I remember him once pushing. I was only young, and he pushed me in the back of the goal at Southampton at the old Dell, and these little things that remind me about it. Winners, a proper winner, and I've seen him on the pitch where the wingers not crossed the ball when they should have, and I've seen him absolutely destroy them to make sure that next time that ball's actually coming in the box. Now, you can speak Premier League, you can speak about 75% of strikers. I never felt intimidated. I was I speak about mental things and that, but I've seen millions of players on training grounds that are world beaters. But you cross the white line on a Saturday when it matters in front of that crowd, and there's a certain breed that can handle it without actually being the most talented players. And I kind of I'd like to think that I was one of those players that never needed reassuring. And I had a bad time at Forest. I had the crowd on my back, but came through it at a very young age. Now that tells me that I could handle the situation. But you see some just drift away, so.
And I can imagine Clough prepared you for that. Probably not obviously, but behind the scenes, he kind of got you mentally ready for that experience.
It would be brilliant to realise. I think this is why he believes so much in youth. I mean, our reserve team and our youth team, 78% of them players went on to play in the first team. And this is what he was good at. The only way you'll ever find out is if someone can handle it, is if you put them in.
Yep.
Put them in. Now, this is where my issue is with the under-21s, under-23s, there's kids at football clubs from 16 years old. And I understand they need the development, but you're only going to find out if you stick them in. And I can only think off the top of my head, Foden, maybe, at one of the top clubs. Manchester United are brilliant at Rashford. I mean, come on. Not many had heard of him before he come in and just lit it up straight away. And then there's another young lad coming through in as a striker at Manchester United.
Greenwood.
There's
got a few young names at the moment, haven't they?
Exactly. Are you ever going to find out? By playing them in the 23s week in, week out with their mates? Okay, development. But how long are you going to develop them for before you actually stick them in and see if they're going to be able to do it? And the only way of finding out is putting them in. Yeah.
I genuinely think Manchester United have a rich history of doing that. That goes all the way back to Whiteside as a young player, just straight in and straight on it. And that's 40 years back.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a record there somewhere where they've actually had a youth team graduate come through and play in the first team for so many years on the trot.
Yeah, which is 70 years, is it? 60 years since?
It's brilliant.
It's fantastic. On the plus side, mate, we're talking about when your boss says something good and positive to you and says, well done.
Yeah.
I'm just going to screenshot this because my boss has just commented, well done, Rob. So, there he is.
Oh, there you go. Brilliant. Well done. Cheers, boss.
He's a good
That's
old
good.
boy.
Yeah, it's good.
Coming up to the end of the hour already, Mark. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you.
No, I've enjoyed it. Yeah, good. Anytime.
Mate, it's been easy. Well, Laura, the actual boss, like the female boss of the company, was
I think I've met Laura a few times.
Yeah. She was
a few events.
You coming on. She's got a lot of time. Like, loves the stories, and we've got all the good stories out. So, like, I was really excited because obviously we've never met before.
Yeah.
But what's next for Mark Crossley then? Obviously, we've got this big this walking thing going on.
Yeah. Like I said, I struggled a little bit mentally coming out of the game. My dad got diagnosed with cancer, but he's fine now. He's making great improvement. So everything hit me at once, and they say things come in threes, and I really struggled, but I was ready for the break. So it sounds weird. No. So I'm enjoying the speaking. I'm pretty busy with the speaking. Obviously, we're not doing it at the moment. I enjoy that. And what I enjoy about it is, if you don't want to do it, you can say no. When you're involved in football, the world revolves around you, your family. Right, I'm here on Friday. I'll be back Saturday at 10. Sunday, I'll be knackered. Monday, I'm up at 6. Got to drive down to work. And the world revolves around you. I'm not complaining. It's given me a great life, and I'm so grateful for it. But same as anything, 33 years, I'm ready for this break, and I'm enjoying the break.
I think as well with speaking, it's a very positive experience because it's all fans. They all just want to come and meet you. They will get your autograph, their picture. It's a very positive, and it's like a big thank you for your years of service that what you've given not only to Forest but to all the other clubs as well.
I enjoy speaking at places that don't actually know too much about football, so I can put Clough's way of managing and how he manages to get the best out of a team. Because, it can be like a bank or a steelworks company, and you can speak to them, and I'm sure they work in teams and groups. But this is our manager got the best out of us. And if you've got one or two in that group that are not with you, no matter what business you're in, you've got no chance. So I like to speak to them kind of people as well and tell them what it was like to be involved in the football industry.
Yeah, because everyone can understand, even if you don't like football, you can understand it, can't you? You can understand that mentality.
That's right. And most people have heard of him, but some don't know too much about him. So I'm sure he'd be up there looking down saying, carry on talking about me. I love it,
Oh, yeah.
I love talking about him. I love talking about him.
I've got one final question for you, Mark, because I don't know the answer to this one. Where did the name Big Norm come from?
Right, well, that was Stuart Pearce, so you can ask him this. So I'm one of these people that's had loads and loads of nicknames, and Pearcey started calling me Big Norm. Now, you can make your own mind up, but back in the day, you look at a few pictures of myself, and there's a real likeness to Norman Whiteside. Now, with the hair and all that, and I have a bit of crack with Norman Whiteside on social media, and I always say happy birthday from Norm number 2, and he'll come back. Yeah, there's only one Norman Whiteside and all that. So, Pearson, everybody thought it was Norman Wisdom because I was making a few mistakes at the time, and then some people thought, well, he likes a bevy, so it's that fella Norm who sits at the end of the bar in Cheers. Can you remember that program? But the real story is that Stuart Pearce nicknamed, and it just stuck. And there's only my wife and my mum now that doesn't call me Norm. Everybody calls me Norm. And you've called me Mark as well, so that's nice.
Oh, yeah, because I'm a gentleman. It's the first time we've met. When we do meet in person, it's going to be Norm from now on, pal.
It's weird, isn't it? It's just how the name's just stuck. Big Norm, that's it.
Just one of them. It could be a lot worse, mate, couldn't it? It could be a lot worse.
Could be shithouse or imbecile.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, this has been a fantastic show, and the compliments are coming thick and fast, Mark. Great show tonight. Top man Norm. Great goalkeeper for Forest. It's been my absolute pleasure, Mark. Honestly, thank you so much, my friend.
Anytime you want us on, just give us a shout. No problem.
You'll be sick of us by the end of lockdown, pal. You'll be sick of us.
I'll tell you, I've done a few of these Zoom calls now. I'm into my music. I'm really into my music, and I'm a friend of Rick Witters, who's a big Man United fan from Shed 7. Yeah, we're good friends. Yeah, and we've got we're going to do a walk together for charity and that. So yeah.
What music are you listening to now then?
What am I listening to? At the moment. Oh, I'm with my earphones now.
Oh, you said you're a big fan of music. Like what music?
I love Shed 7. There's a few young bands coming up, the Skylights and the Crooks and Sherlocks, Jerry Cinnamon. I'm into all that indie type of stuff.
Excellent.
Look who's here. Come here, come say hello.
Who's that?
He's just got out of bed.
Oh, brilliant.
This is little Bobby.
Hello,
Say
Bobby.
Hello. Say hello,
You look
Bobby.
happy to see us.
He's not. He's just woke up. So good timing. Where's your
Right.
mum?
On that note, Norm, thank you so much, my friend. It's been an absolute pleasure, honestly.
Been a pleasure, mate. Honestly, yeah. Anytime. Speak soon.